how do I work my way up on each set? Okay. So for example, if I do set 1
Mm-hmm.
at 50 pounds
Okay.
and set 3 is 60 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and then I do a couple at 70 pounds,
Okay.
what should I do? Do I do a couple at 70? So the ways they wrote this is set 1, 60, set 2, 60, set 3, 60, but do as many as I can? Or is it set 1, 50, set 2, 60, set 3, do a couple at 70? That's how they worded it. Like,
Um,
how do you work up is
okay.
basically what she's asking.
I don't really understand. But so you can have
Why are you
warm
so
up
excited
sets.
to answer? You were
Because
like, okay, all right. I have no idea what this person's asking, but
I'm going to answer it anyway in my own way, and hopefully it's answering the question. Okay, so you have warm up sets that you're going to work up, right? So with warm up sets, you're going to start with lower weights in more reps, and then each set you're going to up the weight but lower the reps. So eventually your last set, depending on what your working sets are supposed to be, might be 3 reps, might be 2 reps, might even be 1 rep, depending on how heavy you're going. So you're gonna gradually like pyramid that up, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you get to your working sets, you can do it in all. There's so many different ways you can do it. Depends on how it's programmed. You can do that again, where you ramp it up, right? Where each set you're doing more weight. You can do it where you do the same weight for all sets and reps. You can do it where the last set you go for it. You could do it where the first set you go for it, and then you do back off sets. There's no really right way to do it. There's all different ways. The goal should just be to make sure that you have at least 1 or 2 sets in there where you are lifting very heavy and close.
I mean, I would even say with the way that she structured this, she kind of gave 2 options of the way her brain was thinking about it. The one being do 50 pounds, then do 60 pounds, and then try to do 70 as if 70 is the hard one, but I can't do as many. And then the other option she gave of where her brain was going was just do 60 for all 3 sets, but maybe on the last set, do as many as I can of 60.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like 60 pounds is probably where she's generally lifting, but she's like, should I do 50, 60, 70, or should I do 60 the whole time and then just try to do more reps? So it sounds like 60 is kind of her radar, which again, like you said, there's a lot of ways that you could do it. But if 60 is where you're generally lifting, there's really no point to go below that unless you're doing a warm-up set, like you said. So when the first option she gave where she was like 50, 60, 70, well, don't do 50 because 50 is below what you can do. So why would we go backwards unless it's a warm-up set? Your working sets need to be challenging, right? So I like the idea of 60 is like your comfort. And I think this is a lat pull down. So she's doing a lat pull down for 60. Like there's a couple ways to do it, right?
That changes my answer too.
Well, yeah. So it depends too if you're doing more strength-based work, if you're doing more, if this is like a lat pull down or something that's later on in your workout, you're probably not going to have warm-up sets. You're going to waste your time doing those. You're already warmed up. So that's more like if you're doing like your first exercise or a heavy lift or something, you want some warm-up sets. But if this is like later on and you're only going to do those 3, there's no point in doing the 50 unless you're going to do a lot of reps. Mm-hmm. The 60, and this is where you look at like rep ranges. This is why I love the idea of picking a rep range like 8 to 10 or 10 to 12 or 6 to 8. And you literally just pick a weight that you can, that's very, very hard to get within that range. So if it's super challenging, but you can get and what you choose to do is like 8 to 10. So if it's super hard, but you can get all the way up to 10, and maybe you could have done an 11th, then you should increase the weight, right? And try to be on the lower end and then aim for reps to try to get at the higher end of the rep range.
Yeah.
And if I had to pick between these two, doing 60 pounds, then 60 pounds, and then bumping it up to 70 pounds and doing as many as you can, that would be a great way to slowly increase your strength.
Yeah, that changes my answer totally, knowing it's a lat pull down. I would say, don't go below 60. Definitely start at 60. And then you can kind of, each week you're going to feel different, right? So if you start at 60 and you're like, okay, that was actually not as hard as I thought it was going to be, add weight to it. Yeah. And what I usually tell people to do is aim for the lower end, like you said, of the rep range. So find the weight where 8 is hard, right?
Right.
And then each week try to add more reps to that. And then once you get to 10, go back down to 8 and add weight.
Yeah. And the way this was asked too makes me think that, because a lot of people wonder, well, how many reps am I supposed to be doing? I can do 8, I can do 10, I can do 12. So people will go in and be like, all right, I'm going to do a lat pull down, and they'll hear 12 reps of it, right? So they'll do 60 pounds and I did 12 reps. And then every time they go to the gym, they're doing 60 pounds at 12 reps. So then the question starts to come, well, how should I do that? Should I do maybe 50, 60 and then do 70, but I won't be able to do 12 reps? Or should I do like more than 12 at 60? Like, how should I do it? And that's where it's like, okay, we need to examine how many reps you're doing and what the purpose of how many reps you're aiming for is, right? You actually have to look at that number. And there isn't a perfect number. You can do 12, you can do 6, you can do 8, but have a specific like rep goal or range. And then the weight is going to be determined by that. How hard was it within that, right?
Yeah.
You have to start looking at that a little bit more intentionally.
The way I do my accessory exercises a lot, like stuff like that, is I will do like what she said in one part. I will do like, say it was 60, so I'm doing 60 pounds, and like that feels kind of, say that I think that's an RPE of 8, and I'll do that for the first 2 sets, and then the last set I may still do 60. Usually in accessory exercises I'll keep the weight the same, whereas if it's something like a Romanian deadlift, it's still an accessory exercise, but one that's more strength based, that I might add weight. But like something like a lat pull down, I'll keep the weight the same. And then the last set, I will go to failure or as close to failure as I can get. So it's going to be like an RPE of 9, RPE of 10. And then I know, okay, that's my high weight. The next week, I know if I should up it or lower it or whatever. And then I know I can do that last set to failure because it's the last one. And I don't have to do that exercise again. And that's a good way for me when I do like hypertrophy type workouts.
A lot of people think it kind of like think it needs to be pretty linear. Like, oh, I do 60, 60, 60. And then next week I'm going to do 60, 60, 65. And that it has to always be linear. But the reality of it is a lot of times it's kind of playing around. And it's playing around with kind of how you feel and figuring things out. In the beginning, it might be a lot of figuring out. Like you said, you might do 60 pounds and then 60 pounds. And then for the last set, well, like, let's just see how many I can do. And let's say you were doing 12 reps and all of a sudden you do 20. Well, then 60 pounds, you probably should increase that next week and have that be your new normal. But you should always be kind of aiming higher for what your new normal is and then challenging yourself a little bit within that and playing around a little bit to figure that out.
Yeah. And now that I'm more experienced, it's usually pretty close. So the first 2 sets, like say I did 60 for 10, that last set, I might only be able to do 12. It's usually pretty close. Whereas, when you're less experienced, you'll probably feel like, I could do 18, 20. Yeah. I'm like, wow, I was way off.
Or what happens a lot of times too with people, I just saw this question the other day. I'll use this example for it. They might do 60 pounds and 60 pounds and then jump up to 70. And they were doing 60 pounds for 10, but all of a sudden the 70, they can only do 3. And they're like, oh, well, I need to go back to 60 then. But how then do I improve? So how do I get stronger if the next weight up I can't do like more than like 3 of? And that's where I say, well, 3 is a fine number, first of all. So just aim for more reps the next time of that higher weight. Like people get tripped up thinking, oh no, I can't do as many. So now I don't know how to build strength. That's literally exactly how you do it. So if you really want to build strength, then do your 60, 60, 70 by 3. And then maybe next week it'll be 70 by 4. Maybe 2 weeks it'll be 70 by 4. Or another thing that you can do so you don't lose out on maybe the burn or the feeling or whatever is do the 70 by 3 and then finish out the set with your 60. So go ahead and do your 3, bump it down, and then keep going until you get to 10 with the lower weight. And eventually the 70, you'll be able to do that for more and more reps each time. But that's how you push the weight, is by realizing that you're at your max. And so that's a good thing. Yeah. I saw somebody the other day say like, I normally do, 20 pounds on the bar for bench press, but as soon as I bump up to like 30 pounds, I can only do 5 reps, but I normally do 8. So how am I supposed to gain strength if I can't do 8? And I was like, that's literally exactly how it's supposed to work. You can only do 5. That's awesome.
But I mean, if you could do 8 with the 1, I mean, you shouldn't be able to do 8 with the next weight up.
Right. But when people are first figuring this all out, they feel like it's supposed to be this perfectly linear, like, okay, I did 30 for 8, 35 for 8, 40 for 8, 45 for 8. Like, no, actually the reps are going to have to go down and then you have to build them back up.
Okay. Yeah.
That concept is actually like, once that clicks, it makes total sense. It's like, duh. But for some people that doesn't necessarily click. right away. Like, no, you're supposed to lower your expectation of how many you can do. That's how you build it. And then you work the reps back up to where you were. And then once you do that, you raise the weight again and you can't do as many. And then you work it back up, right?